Hello, and welcome to the All In series. We're here to share the stories of people who have gone all in and pursued their dream of owning their own business. My name is Layla Gulen, and we're happy to be joined by Brian and Lisa Lees, principals at HealthSource Chiropractic, which they are in the process of opening a clinic in the coming months. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Nice to be here, Layla.
Yeah, so when and why did you consider to start your own business?
Well, I'll start with that one. I had been in corporate America for 30 plus years, and at a company, same company for over 20. I was a vice president, general manager, running really all of operations, back office, finance and accounting, support, and with changes in that company. My role shifted quite a bit, and a little over a year ago, made the decision with new CEOs and new leadership, it was time for me to find something else. So this last year, I'd been doing some consulting and short-term director roles and management roles, and really what I've always thought is there's a point where I would like to own my own business. As we went through this process, and it's not easy to find a really strong senior level position, especially when you want to shift industries. I didn't have a definite, I want X industry. I just knew that I wanted to broaden my worldview and do something a bit different than some of the technology and networking work that I had been doing.
Are you saying that some of the companies out there, that they're looking for someone who has had extensive experience, that has worked up that chain to then become in that senior role? So without that cursory experience, that it's a little bit tough.
Well, I think so, yes. I think a lot of executives who are trying to change their careers and shift industry, that's what they're running into. It's certainly what I ran into. I believe that I could have gotten other senior level positions within the AV and technology industry. And I really wanted to branch out and use my general management skills and my people management, HR, operations in a different way and explore different opportunities.
Well, this has been very much a team effort. So for you, Lisa, had you ever owned your own business in the past? And what did you think when your husband and you started talking about this and it actually becoming a real possibility?
Well, I've not owned my own business, but my background is in retail and training and like corporate training. So I'm very comfortable managing people and, running my own store. And I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 20 years and highly involved in volunteering. But now our youngest is heading off to college, and, we will both have a lot of free time that we didn't have before. So starting something new right now just really made sense. And for us to do it together, puts us on the same page. So it's the timing was good. Although I will say I was skeptical at first when Brian said he was contacted by a franchise consultant.
Of course.
I was very skeptical.
Yeah, sure. It's understandable. Yeah. But your backgrounds are quite different from each other. And then you picked HealthSource Chiropractic. So tell us a little bit more about this company and why did you decide to go with it?
Well, a lot of the process, to back up a little bit, when I was contacted by a franchise consultant, I had no idea what that even was. And going through the process, which I'm sure we'll talk about in more detail in a few minutes, we really looked at a lot of different organizations and different industries, had no idea how many franchise opportunities there are out there and what types of companies actually franchise. And as we went through this journey, we kept getting deeper and deeper with the HealthSource Chiropractic. They're a franchisor out of the Cleveland, Ohio area. A lot of very strong people on the team. The founder has a great vision for the organization, great systems. It was really about the people, and knowing that we have people around us to help us to be successful. And we didn't need to be chiropractors. We don't need to be chiropractors. Thanks to everybody there, because no one would want us adjusting them.
Sure. Yeah.
And the business model, the plan, the vision for the future, and the team behind them, it seemed like it was really a good fit for us, and uses our complementary skills well. That's not to say there's not a lot of there's fear. It's a scary process when you start anything, but we feel like we're supported, and we feel like we have the right team around us for us to be successful. The one other piece that was attractive for me with HealthSource, they're not in the northern New Jersey area, yet they have about 150 clinics through the country now. So it's not a brand new franchisor, yet it's not in our area yet. And so I think there's a lot of upside there.
So being that it was a proven brand, you felt more comfortable diving into this particular company.
Yeah, because it's been around since 2000. So they've ironed out a lot of the kinks early on. But also Rich presented us with so many different options and wildly different franchises and businesses, because he's really into that. So he was just excited to show us all of these different possibilities. And as Brian said, we didn't realize how many different businesses are franchises. So it was very interesting. And, as you said, we do have different backgrounds. So Rich presented, first it was a dozen, and then it was another 8 franchise companies to us, and asked us to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. So Brian's take and my take were very different at times, but we had narrowed it down, and we actually dove pretty deep with a lot of the franchises. And
can you give me an example of some of the different franchises that he floated your way?
Oh yeah, the dumpster crusher.
Oh,
this is a thing.
You into dumpster crushing?
It's a really
awesome.
cool truck. It's a very cool truck. It scared me a little to think of myself behind the wheel for something like that.
But yeah, making space for more stuff in the dumpster
Right.
You have a fleet of these crushers.
And I didn't know that would have been a franchise.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Restaurants need their upholstery repaired. So you could have a mobile business where you actually have technicians who repair upholstery in restaurants. There was a consultant, a management training consultant.
Executive coaching.
Yes.
Business coaching.
Yeah. So that one we were very interested in, but it was sort of too similar to what Brian had been doing. So we decided to just do something completely different. Also, there was something called Hawaii Fluid Art, which is like not a paint and sip exactly, but a place where you go and you create art. And that sounded really interesting too. But our area of northern New Jersey is not like a touristy kind of place, and that didn't seem to make complete sense to us. But some of the other ones were like a charcuterie or a massage place, or what else were they?
Well, it really ran through from food service to home improvement type of places to having a storefront, retail or service oriented. And like Lisa said, there were a few that we did pretty deep dives in. The executive coaching, there was a drug screening organization that had some great technology that was very interesting. In the end, it was, who do we see ourselves working best with, and what business model actually do we think we can be most successful with? Right. And I think there are a lot of them out there. Again, more than we ever knew, and a heck of a lot more than we explored with Rich. But he presented this very broad swath of of businesses, and it made the process fun. Without,
sure.
Yeah, it was
learning
great
experience. My God,
without a doubt. Yeah, it's and I think that's probably the biggest. That it's a great point.
Definitely.
You treat it like a learning experience, and it makes it a lot more fun and just more interesting as we go through it.
Yeah, well, it's great that you happened upon HealthSource, and that seemed to be a good fit amongst the spectrum of possibilities that Rich presented to you. But were there any challenges that you had to work through in making your decision, or just once you've made your decision, getting that process going?
Both.
Yeah.
Really?
Partly regulatory issues.
Oh.
Yeah, I would say even before that.
Yeah.
Because you're right. For this business, there's some interesting wrinkles. But even before that, we've thought about owning a business and running our own business, but how do we fund? Where do we get the money to do this and still live well? Do either of us, do we need full-time jobs while we're trying to build this? What does that look like? And I think that's probably what held me back as long as it did from even thinking about starting a business. And then, Rich says it well, you could start your own business if you have the idea, and you're ready to do it all by yourself.
Yeah.
The franchise there's a system, and they have the vision is there. It's just how tight of a vision and how many bumpers are there to make sure that you're continuing on the right path and you're going to be successful. So you have a team behind you. And so I think that was really the first almost mental block to overcome is, hey, do you really want to do this? And it was, yeah, we really want to do this. It's worth betting on ourselves and taking this risk. At a time, like Lisa said, we have 2 kids that will be in college next year, at a time where most people would think it's crazy, because our expenses are really high based on 2 good college experiences.
Yeah.
But it's still, we were able to get to a comfort level within ourselves and with the people that we're working with, that it's worth the risk. And I think that's the biggest obstacle to overcome initially.
So the 2 of you sat down to a glass of wine, and how did you know you were ready to go all in?
So I was very hesitant, and everything I would say to Brian, we would then the next day get an email from Rich taking us through the process of decision making. And everything that he wrote, because he's helped so many people take this journey. So, and he's an advisor, right? He's not making he's not didn't pressure us at all, because we don't pay him at all.
Right.
So he just was just so aware of what people were thinking, and he's done it too. He's gone through this journey himself with buying a franchise. Right. So he knew what we were thinking at every point. And really, the questions that we were asking ourselves were the ones that he presented and said, this is how you can work through it. Not necessarily talking us into anything at all, but just saying, if you've done your homework, if you've asked all the right questions, if you've done your due diligence as far as talking to as many franchisees as you can, because they can actually be freer with information than a business entity would be.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So we learned a lot and talked to a lot of franchisees. And yeah, just with talking with Rich on a weekly basis, he kind of was patient and kept pushing us to think more about it. And we felt very prepared when we finally made the decision.
Yeah. So it sounds like he was kind of anticipating what your concerns or questions might be. Now that you've taken the plunge, what advice would you give others who are contemplating going on this same journey?
Well, certainly if you're looking for a franchise, you should be engaged with a franchise consultant. Don't do it by yourselves. You can go to the franchise trade shows and all of that to see what is available, but don't do it by yourself. It doesn't cost you anything to work with a franchise consultant. Use the resources that have the experience and the expertise to really help you through the process. Ask any question that you have, no matter what it is. And when you're done with the conversation and you think of the question that you forgot to ask it anyway. Ask it again. What I've found is we've gone through this process. I still have questions that I probably should have asked 6 months ago. But I asked some questions 6 months ago that no one thought we would ever ask at that time. They thought we should be asking now. So it's, it's never too early to ask questions, to prepare, to do your due diligence and the research. But also don't give yourself, I have this deadline and I have to know everything about everything, because you'll end up, if you're really asking and you're continuing that process, you'll end up not buying anything.
Talking yourself out of it, right?
Without a doubt. Yes. Yeah. Yes. We talked ourselves out of it a few times.
We did.
And we talked ourselves back into it a few times.
Yeah.
So,
when did this process start? How long ago?
I want to say I got an outreach from someone who works for Rich last June.
Oh, okay.
So it's less than a year.
Less than a year.
Which is, short for some, and maybe it's long. I don't know. But maybe it was May or June. He and I had, at that point, I was looking for full-time opportunities, but really it kept tugging at me that if we can figure out a way to own our own business, this is really the time to do it. Yeah. So I responded and said, yeah, I'll take a call. What do I have to lose? And so the first conversation was just me and Rich. I learned what a franchise consultant is, what they're supposed to be doing, and how they make a living. And I saw very little downside. And I really, within a couple of minutes of the first conversation with Rich, I already felt like I could trust him and really liked his style and his approach. So I had said, yeah, it can't hurt. Let's go through the process. And he and I had a second conversation, which, it was kind of his discovery interview, basically secondary interview. And who am I? What's my background? What do I think I'm looking for? And after that conversation, Lisa and I talked, and I said, this is for real. We have nothing to lose. I'm not doing this without you. It's not going to happen. We're either doing it together or we're not doing it at all. And that's kind of where we started. And then Lisa's been on it's been a team since then.
Yeah, indeed. And so starting this journey May, June of last year, and when are you set to open your first location?
It's a great question. We don't know that yet.
Oh, you don't?
Well, we're getting there. So
yes.
We went through, from a timeline perspective, looked at different businesses, did all the due diligence, and we signed our franchise agreement with HealthSource on Halloween.
Okay.
Coincidence. There was no plan to that at all.
Nothing spooky about that.
Yeah. I never thought of that. But it's an easy date to remember, at least. So sure. We signed it on Halloween. We are working with commercial realtors now. We're very close to identifying our first location. So we're hopeful that by the end of this month, we'll have a draft lease in hand, and hopefully by the middle of February, we'll have signed a lease.
Oh, that's
we'll
very
know,
exciting. And, you know, once all that's done, I think the process is pretty quick after that. You're going to be kept so busy that it's going to make your head spin.
That's what we hear.
Yeah, exactly. Well, between
I can only imagine.
Construction and build out, the hiring, we have to hire our lead doctor, and then a couple others, get all of those relationships set up, and then all of the training. You know, hopefully we're opening in the May-June timeframe.
Okay. All right. Okay. So a year. So basically a year from start to finish is kind of what the target is. And it might be a little too soon to ask you this question, but do you think you'll open up a second location?
That's the plan.
Very good.
Well, it's too soon to really think about, but yes, absolutely.
Yes. Well, that's great to hear.
That's the goal. With this model, since we're basically investor owners and we're going to be involved in the business itself as heavily as we can be, but our lead doctor and the doctors, they're really doing all of the work at the clinic. The goal is that, yes, this is successful, and there are no other Northern New Jersey clinics set up today.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. So you're really carving out a niche for yourself in your particular area. And you realize that by you taking this leap, you're creating opportunity for so many people.
That's a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, chiropractors graduate with debt and no business acumen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is actually a very nice path for, you know, young chiropractors and recently graduated chiropractors. And one of the principals at HealthSource is adjunct professor at a chiropractic school, and he actually does a lot of speaking engagements at chiropractic schools. So he has a pipeline of newly graduated doctors and also people that he stays in contact with.
Yeah.
So that also was reassuring.
Oh, that's terrific. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, Godspeed on the process and your success. I want to thank you so much, Brian and Lisa, for joining us today on the All In series. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and you'll definitely be an inspiration for anyone thinking about taking that leap into entrepreneurship with a franchise. We wish you so much success.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And for anyone who's interested in contacting Lisa or Brian, you can reach them at 973-464-9919 or brlees824@gmail.com. And thank you to all of our viewers and listeners, and we hope that you enjoyed meeting Brian and Lisa, and look forward to having you join us again as we explore more stories of those who've decided to go all in. We'll see you next time.